It may send us live in a minute, so just heads up if it does.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we're live. It may send us live in a minute, so just heads up if it does.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta mute that though. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
All right, guys. Yeah, we're live. Little different deal here. Just getting set up. Won't be able to take any calls, but there's a ton of feedback. What's going on feedback wise? It sounded pretty clear on our end. This is brand new. It's just a test for when we need it for some different things. So let us know what you're hearing. Let us know what the audio sounds like. Clear. Okay, good. It's better now. Good. Yeah, I think what happened was I had my audio turned on, so everybody was getting everything twice. Is what it was. So again, we're remote, as you can see. Had something come up that was out of our control, but we're hanging in. We're gonna get it done. So we'll be with you here in a second as we get started. Just give it one more minute for me to get some links sent out. Yeah, the audio is actually better. It makes me wonder. I mean, Jay can laugh at us. I see he's in the stream. He can laugh. Probably makes me wonder a little bit about our setup, because when Zoom just makes everything kind of level itself out, it sounded better than the alternative. So, second.
I'm not in my mom's basement. I saw someone said that. My mom doesn't have a basement.
It kind of looks like I am, because it's very dark in here. I don't like light. I'm kind of a bat. Like, I don't turn lights on in my office hardly ever.
I've got the ring light on. I guess I could turn the overhead light on.
The ring light's good.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, Jay says our setup is outdated.
That's probably true.
If I'm promised a football season, I think I will update it. I'm a little nervous about the investment, matching the investment that Jay made and then not getting football, but I guess I need to roll the dice.
You think that's a problem? You think we?
No, I think we're okay.
Okay. It's been an interesting day.
It has been an interesting day.
I think that's for sure true, if nothing else.
That is one way to put it.
Yeah, I'm not used to the little green light thing yet with whomever's talking. You see that on the screen?
I don't on mine.
No, it's only on the other thing, as it's whatever. So, all right, we're about ready to get started. I'll come back into the stream in a sec. Well, I mean, y'all are in the stream or whatever. But again, yeah, we're remote tonight. No ability to take calls, but you can hang out with us. I'll watch the live stream for as we're talking normal podcast. My goal is to get this thing up in video form tonight. It's since we're not using the same system, I don't know if it's going to go live immediately or not. It would be great if it does, but I have no real good answer to that. So we'll see. If not, I'll upload it as a normal YouTube video. My daughter's going to bed in about 10 minutes, so it's possible you hear something associated with that too behind me. But again, it kind of is what it is, and this will be your normal podcast tomorrow morning or tonight or whenever as we get it up. So that's kind of what's going on with us, and we'll kind of get this thing started. So, what are you watching though?
Cubs Brewers. They're in the fourth.
Okay. All right, here we go. Welcome into this Thursday night edition of Hand Raise, guys. Chase Parham, Neal McCready. He is in the Clark, Florida studio. I am in my very dark office here at my home tonight. Again, for those in the live stream, for those everywhere else seeing, we're changing it up a little bit, but we are here with you on this Thursday night. A show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon. Highway 6 West in Oxford. Blue Sky location there. All throughout Mississippi, you can get the Speed Pass Plus app. You can download it. You can be as safe as possible there, filling up with that app. Also, you can use the protective sleeves. They got them at the Oxford Exxon. You can use those sleeves, not have to touch much of anything, and get on with your day as quickly and safely as possible there with, again, all Blue Sky locations, including the Oxford Exxon. We're coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggling to get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. You'll love the service. You'll love the product after the sale. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be a truck guy, and he'll prove that to you when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Guest, join us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters on the Square is open tonight, open today. Today's the first day in a little while that they've been reopened. I'm not positive on all of the times and stuff. I know they're open today and Friday and I guess into the weekend. I'm not sure what they're doing with the regular week. Rafters on the Water is obviously open as well. It's open Wednesday through Sunday. Over the weekend, 11 to 10. Picnic style dining area, signature appetizers, burgers, everything, catfish platters, shrimp, cocktails, the whole deal, live music. It's a lot of fun, been a big party all summer, and you can join it this weekend at the Sardis Marina. 662-712-6162 if you want to get curbside or to go from Rafters on the Water. This year, Ole Miss Athletics proudly salutes their our great healthcare workers and need your help in honoring them. Fans are encouraged to nominate their own healthcare heroes by visiting olemissgameday.com/heroes. Selected entries will be featured on the Ole Miss Athletics 2020 Stadium Cup, as well as video boards on campus venue. For more information, visit olemissgameday.com/heroes. Rebel fans, Ole Miss hoops will be here soon, I hope. Don't miss 1 minute of the action. Renew or purchase your 2020-2021 season tickets for Ole Miss men's and women's basketball by visiting OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com.
The gear is close. I have not actually, though. I haven't put an order in for a rope hat. That's one nobody's asked me about. It's not something that I wear. So I'll look into it, but that's not one that I.
What is a rope hat?
Like kind of the old school hat. It's got like a little tassel rope little thing right there across the top.
People wear those?
No, I should say I don't, but people were asking us for it. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How about that?
You have no interest?
I mean, I didn't know that was still a thing. When I was a kid, people wore those painters hats. They used to have the Major League Baseball painters hats. You ever seen those?
No.
You ought to Google those. They're hideous, but man, they were
hats.
A painter hat, Major League Baseball painter hat. You ought to Google that. Those were in style for about a year.
Really?
Yeah, I had 3 or 4 of them. I had a Cubs one. I had a Braves one. I had a San Diego Padres one.
No, it was golf visor, like the big tour visor, and then the kind of dry fit athletic. I think it's either Imperial or Ahead was the company for the regular caps. So those were the two. Those were the two headgear options. We haven't done toboggans or toques or anything like that for the winter months, and we haven't done a rope hat. So that's kind of where we are. But nonetheless, what do you
sell any MPW digital toboggans?
You think we could sell toboggans?
I don't know.
Dead Socks could probably get us some socks.
We've worked on that before. They have our
logo.
Yeah, we had that done, and then I think the whole pandemic thing sort of sidelined that for a little bit.
That's the answer to a lot of things. That whole pandemic thing kind of sidelined stuff. Yeah,
it's still on the radar there. So we're still. I think it's something we're still planning to do.
What are you drinking?
I have a IPA. It's High Ally. My friend Johnny Goff recommended it.
Okay.
So I got some. It's pretty good. I got it at Kroger. Kroger's beer selection is much improved since they opened kind of the new portion of the store.
Rocking the pitching ninja shirt tonight.
Yeah. I tried to get a pitching ninja cap, but they were all sold out.
You couldn't get those hats. Yeah, they sold out in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the site trying to get it within 20 minutes, and they were long gone. They had the charcoal and the black. I wanted the charcoal one bad, but it was gone. Next time, I'll just keep waiting. They have cool stuff.
So today, from a Power Five standpoint, had not been necessarily a huge news day. Haven't been a ton of news since the last time you and I talked on Tuesday night. But I tell you what, you and I talked this morning for a little while, and this is going to be thick skin season. That's what it is. This is thick skin season for the SEC, the ACC, for the Big 12, because yesterday, very direct, targeted. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at because you're basically talking my column for tomorrow. It's already written, and I was laughing because I saw the Oregon State president.
Yeah.
Make a really pointed comment to. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's usually very, very hard to get university presidents to comment, and all of a sudden, the university presidents on the West Coast and in the Big Ten, they are so available for interviews right now. It's remarkable how available they are to sports writers for interviews right now. And if you think that's a coincidence, I don't really know what to tell you.
Targeted, cooperating, direct campaign for the Big Ten and the Pac-12 to prove that they were correct. That is what's going on right now. The doctors, all of them are available. They're all deciding to talking. They decided to go, hey, look, you are devoid of reality if you're trying to play football right now. Multiple people, including the head medical person for the NCAA, says, makes a Titanic reference, says that it's like the band playing on the Titanic, that the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 and whomever else is still playing football. I've got the direct quote over here somewhere. Like the Titanic is what the Oregon newspaper used. Said, yeah, the NCAA's chief medical officer and two of their infectious disease experts, they said, quote, I feel like the Titanic. We've hit the iceberg and we're trying to make decisions of what time should we have the band play, said Dr. Carlos Del Rio, executive associate dean at Emory. He's on a COVID advisory panel for the NCAA.
Can I ask you a question?
And more. The Pac-12 at least released their entire document, but the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, this is the point where, yeah, you're going to see every reporter talk to numerous people. They're all going to talk about all the negative stuff about how the Pac-12 and the Big Ten did what you had to do, that you can't play football. And this is going to be a test for Greg Sankey, for Jim Swafford, for Bob Bowlesby. Bowlesby's probably passed it the best to this point. He's been pretty direct and candid.
Yeah.
You're going to just stick with it because you're going to get this over and over and over again. And every time there's any positive test or any kind of outbreak whatsoever on your campus, you're going to get this again and again and again. If you're going to play football, again, forget the right, wrong, whatever. Forget the sides of this. If you're going to play football, you're going to have to tolerate 6 weeks of this prior to the season beginnings. That's what we got, is around 6 weeks. And if that's the case, you're cool, but you're going to have to tough it out day after day after day. And this is going to be an absolute test of Greg Sankey's skin thickness as we move forward in this next month.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Titanic sunk.
Yeah.
More than half the people on the Titanic died. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's a hell of an analogy. I mean, it's pretty dramatic for a virus that has about a 0.0004 kill rate. I just thought it was irresponsible. I thought it was an irresponsible comment. I really did. I thought it was. I thought the comment was total bullshit. So it really what I believed. Look, you made a decision as the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. You made a decision that you weren't going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You made a decision. No one's making you. The other leagues have decided that they're going to give it a go. It's a funny thing. The Big Ten. And look, I got this from Clay Travis's site. I hate to get into the Clay Travis thing because I'm not. Michigan State's playing intramurals.
Yeah, what does that mean? I saw that. What are they doing?
No, I mean, here's my question is, So you asked your players to come back to campus roughly June the 1st, June the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Pick June the 15th. Somewhere in that 2-week span, you asked your football players to come back to campus voluntarily to go through workouts. They did. You asked them if they had a problem, they had to quarantine. They did. You asked them in July to go through another phase of the workout plan to get ready for fall camp. They did. They did everything you asked them to do. And then on the cusp of getting started, you tell them, we just don't think it can work. And no one answers why. No one's asked, what is it that you saw? They say, well, myocarditis. Yeah. And then a lot of medical people are like, well, I mean, the SEC, the ACC, the Duke doctor. I know what people say, man. And look, I've been critical of the SEC in the past, and I'll be critical of the SEC again. If the SEC doctors believed today that running the risk of getting started with practice would result in young men, in this case, I'm talking about football, but young men and young women, but in this case, young men suffering major heart damage, I can tell you that this league wouldn't play. They would have already canceled.
Of course.
This league, we can make all the jokes in the world about the SEC is all about the money, and the SEC is a lot about the money. But I know Greg Sankey a little bit, and Greg Sankey is not all about the money. Greg Sankey absolutely cares about young people. Keith Carter cares about young people. You can think what you want to think about Ross Bjork, but Ross Bjork cares about young people. Scott Strickland at Florida cares about young people. I'm just naming the people that I know in the league. Those people, Ray Tanner cares about young people. Ray Tanner would not be able to put his head on the pillow tonight in Columbia, South Carolina, if their medical people had told him, listen, Ray, if y'all play football, man, and some of these kids get this, they are going to suffer irreparable heart damage. Mm-hmm. He would say, this isn't worth it. And he would tell his president, chancellor, we can't do this. We just can't. Ross Bjork would too. You know Ross. I mean, you know Ross socially. I know Ross a little less than you do socially, but we know Keith Carter. Keith Carter would not be able to put – Keith Carter's a religious, spiritual person. He wouldn't be able to put his head on the pillow tonight in Oxford and roll over and go to sleep knowing that he was jeopardizing the short and long-term health of the student athletes that play at Ole Miss. No way. No chance. Greg Byrne at Alabama, no way. If Greg Byrne had that information in front of him where he believed it, he would absolutely tell Nick Saban, hey, we can't do this. And at this point, Nick Saban even wouldn't want to do it. Ed Orgeron wouldn't want to do it. These coaches wouldn't want to do it if that's what they believed.
Well, look, it's one of the reasons why Day at Ohio State and all these guys are so pissed off right now is not only did they do this and make this decision with some dissenting votes and different things and frankly make it just because they had their mind made up. I think you said that somewhere in the last couple of days, and it's exactly right. But even beyond that, they're not even getting these answers because, they come out and go, hey, it's on both sides. So Sankey goes, well, our medical people, we believe in this. We think we can move forward. And now have they told us why exactly that is? No, I have no idea what they're basing that off of, but whatever. On the other side, Warren in the Big Ten, he's kind of doing the opposite. He goes, hey, we can't do this, and we can tell you why, or we know why, but we can't tell you either. They're not even telling their coaches. I mean, that's what the guy at Ohio State was pissed off about is he goes, hey, well, at least tell me what is it that you base this decision off of? And it's this, hey, just trust me. Just trust me that everything's cool. Just trust me I'm making the right decision for all of us right now.
Let me ask you a question, Chase. 2 leagues came out and said, had players come out and basically say, we want to unionize, and here's our list of demands. Which 2 leagues were those? I'm having a hard time remembering.
The Pac-12 and the Big Ten.
Oh, that's right. Feels like it was the Pac-12 and the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. It's funny. I read Ross Dellinger today. I think it was Ross quoted a anonymous Power 5 AD. I think he said SEC. The SEC is waiting for 2 things. They want to see something. The SEC hasn't said, we're playing. The end. The SEC has come out basically and said, we want to see what happens when the kids get back to campus. And they're basically back on campus now.
Yeah.
And we want to see what happens with the NFL. NFL starts September the 10th, Kansas City and Houston. NFL camps are going on right now.
Saints said today, no fans at their first game. Just news that came out today.
Yeah. So they want to say, hey, what does it look like? So if you're if you're LSU, if you're Ole Miss, if you're Mississippi State, I'm thinking schools that are, near New Orleans, you're watching the Saints. You're talking to the Saints. What have you experienced? What happened? What'd you see? What'd you think? My full anticipation. And no one's told me this, so let me put that out now. No one, I feel like Nick Saban doing the hand thing. No one's told me this, but my anticipation is that the first game at Ole Miss or Mississippi State or wherever will have no fans. No one's told me that, but that is my guess. Very limited fans or no fans at first.
Yeah, with the ability to increase if situation allows it as it goes.
Sure, of course. I mean, there's no reason to say today, here's what the attendance policy is going to be in November. There's no reason today to say, here's what the attendance policy is going to be on September the 26th. If you made me guess today, I'd guess that the Grove is closed and that at most it's a very distanced 25%, and I would bet on less as of today because I think they'll be cautious. But I could be totally wrong.
Do you think this medical Big Ten, Pac-12, in a way, a smear campaign, frankly, do you think it's a blip and a quick little sprint, or are we going to get pieces of this all the way through into September?
Getting it all the way till they play a game.
Do you really?
No doubt in my mind.
Every time there's anything you can pop on.
They've got 2 or 3 people that are national media that are in their belt, and they're going to use them.
Well, yeah, because suddenly the Big Ten was Einstein today because they had spring season plans.
I mean, Jeff Brom's the smartest guy in the world today.
Yeah, just so happened that the thing that made the most sense was the one plan that the national media had all the evidence for. They had the entire plan. Just by chance, that thing got leaked, and you know what? They read it, and it was phenomenal. It was terrific.
How convenient was that? What a coincidence, really. What a coincidence. I mean, it's remarkable how those things coincidentally happen. All of a sudden, Jeff Brom's he's a damn genius. I mean, I don't know how he
play a season in February and March.
Yeah.
And then turn around and play another season in the fall.
So we care about players. This is all about player safety. This is all about the health of the players. But we're going to have a plan where we play football starting in January all the way into May, potentially into the end of May for teams that win. Take 2 months off and then get started again. Let me ask you a question, Chase. How many times have you been up north in January, February, March?
Once, and there were 24 inches of snow on the ground when I landed.
Well, I was telling you this today because I was thinking about it. I've gone to the Cubs convention 2 of the last 3 years. That's in late January. And I love it. I like the cold. Wouldn't want to go to a football game in the weather that I was in Chicago, 16, 17 degrees, wind blowing off the lake, cold. Pretty, and I enjoyed the time. I love the city, but I would not want to sit in a football game. And God forbid, would I want to play in a football game in that weather.
Sure.
And who knows what flu season's like at that point. I've been to Minneapolis for the NCAA tournament in March. I've been to Cleveland for the NCAA tournament in March. I've been to Dayton, Ohio for the NCAA tournament in March. Point B, I've been to Indianapolis for the NCAA tournament in March. It's cold. Snow on the ground. Really cold. You can't convince me that anybody truly in the Big Ten truly believes that they're going to play a spring football schedule in the winter. The only way that you could play a spring schedule in the Big Ten is if you started in April. And you could do it this way now. You could start in April and play through the end of June and finish around the 4th of July.
And say there is no fall season. We're taking a break.
Yeah, and you say, hey, here we're playing the season. We had an open window, and maybe we're just going to, yeah. I mean, if you would tell me that, hey, if the football gods came down and said there is a spring set schedule, I would guess they started in late March.
Yeah, CJ says this, and this was my argument on Monday or Tuesday. I think even more, this is complete lip service to avoid transfers.
Oh, I think it's to
You
avoid
can kick
transfers.
it in now for months. You can act
It's-
like the spring season makes all the sense in the world. You can let the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 do whatever they're doing. Go, hey, we're going to play too. We're just playing then. It's all cool.
Yeah.
Kick, 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 kick. That's what they're
Yeah,
doing.
and it's also to appease some fans, because if you tell them, hey, we're just not playing, we punted, and then the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 play and get away with it, dude. Because here's a funny thing, Chase, and it's a funny thing. I'm watching Major League Baseball right now. People go, oh, Major League Baseball's had chaos. 2 teams have had chaos. And right now, only one of 30 teams has chaos. The Marlins are playing. Everybody else is playing. The Cardinals have an issue. The Cardinals have an issue. So 1 out of 30 teams, 1/3 of the way through the season, has a problem. And no, that's not me picking on the Cardinals. It's just that they're the one team that has a problem.
Yeah,
The
sure.
other 29 teams don't have a problem right now, or the problem's been very manageable. I'm sitting here watching the Cubs and the Brewers, and the only problems that the Cubs and the Brewers have had are games that were scheduled against the Cardinals. Both the Cubs and the Brewers have had to take weekends off because they were scheduled to play the Cardinals, and the Cardinals couldn't play. That's it. This is the second time these 2 teams have met already. And my point is, what if the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC, what is it, 30 some odd teams? What if they only have like 1.5 teams that have problems? I mean, it's conceivable that one of the teams won't be able to finish a season. And the question is, well, what would that mean for championships? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Whatever.
No one cares. I mean, no one cares right now that the Cardinals are – I bet even the Cardinals don't care.
We're in a stupid world right now where Iowa State can play and Iowa can't.
Yeah. Iowa State can play. Iowa high school football can play. Iowa high school baseball can play, with fans, mind you. But Iowa can't play.
Cincinnati can play, Ohio State can't.
Yeah. I mean, how weird is that?
Browns, they can play.
How weird is that? Browns can play. Bengals can play. Reds can play. The Reds are talking about having fans in the stands.
Well, thank you as always, our favorite super chatter. What are your thoughts on a Tuesday Zoom for all of us? Hang tight there. We got something coming for you fairly soon along those regards. He asked how Campbell's doing in Fayetteville since she's been back.
She's been there a week. She sounds happy. Glad to be back with her friends. I think they started. She's on the rush matching team or something. I don't know. Don't ask me. They started some of that.
What's that?
She helps determine which girl gets paired up to what girl, and I don't know.
Kind of like the recruiting host, like the official visitor host.
Yeah. She's on the group.
Matching personalities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's good. Thank you for asking, Webb. That's very nice.
He was asking about Ole Miss Arkansas probably here, but I'll give Ole Miss some credit. I've talked to some parents who know kind of what's going on in some other schools athletically. Ole Miss is doing a ton more testing when kids get to campus, testing while they're on campus compared to other SEC schools, potentially by a lot. I mean, I heard some LSU stuff where they're kind of just flying by the seat of their pants. Right?
Hey.
I will say,
Chase.
well,
We tested a couple of guys. Came back negative. Gave some gumbo. Football.
probably got stuff down there. If you get high enough proof, it probably kills the virus at some level. I mean, I don't know. Just
You know how many diseases there are in the swamp, Chase? I mean, Seth.
It's Seth. Yeah.
There's so many diseases in the swamp.
Yeah, it was Seth through about 2006, and then I also had James Bryan over here, and he breathed so loudly through his mouth, like you couldn't even hear the recorder half the time. Like it was just, like this, and you'd listen to the playback, and it would be like gusts of wind going through the recorder the entire time. So yeah, you missed some good days. I mean, really, you weren't around for that because I don't think you were. I don't think Ole Miss was very high on your coverage list at the moment.
No. They only one year that I was covering the SEC was Ole Miss even relevant. That was 2003.
I mean, how much ability do you give Sankey to ignore all this as we move forward?
Well, I mean, we're going to find out. I wrote about this. It'll be up in the morning early. I might even put it up tonight. He's a very smart guy. He's well-read. He's well-rounded. He a multi-interesting. He has lots of interest in different disciplines. He's very smart. People like him. The one flaw that I've heard about people say about Sankey, is that he wants to be liked. Being liked matters to him. You worry about that a little bit. Just there's going to be pressure to cancel. And then there's going to be pressure. Pick a school in the SEC, South Carolina.
Sure.
They have a little mini outbreak in late August. The very first thing you're going to hear from the media, shut it down. Look at the Marlins. You and I were talking about this morning, right? I mean, the Marlins, the first week of the Major League Baseball season, they had a problem. I don't remember how many guys it was, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys.
Sure.
The media reaction was shut it down. Stop the season. There were columns written that morning. The season needs to be stopped. And it took, I can't believe I'm saying this, it took Rob Manfred sort of being tone deaf to go, no. We're good. Just hang on. We're going to keep rolling. Major League Baseball's goal was very simple. It's why they're talking about this playoff bubble. Their goal is very simple. We got to get to the playoffs. When people say, are you going to add a week and a half at the end of your season to make up these games? They go, nope. We got to get to the playoffs. That's where the money is. We talked about this with the SEC. The two goals are get to the starting line, get to the finish line. And so if you get a hiccup in August or early September, it doesn't mean that you can't get to the starting line. Even if in this case with South Carolina, you've got to push their opener back a week. So be it. Maybe you have to push it back 2 weeks. Maybe you got to tell South Carolina, hey, do you have enough guys to play? You've quarantined those guys. Everybody else is cool. When Will says, we're going to get beat. Yeah, I get it. This is where ADs have to say to coaches, no one's judging you this year on wins and losses.
Yeah.
You're being judged this year on being smart, on managing your program. What you can't have, and I'm not saying that the allegations are true or false, I don't know. But you can't have like what happened with Florida State today. That can't be true. That can't happen, where coaches are telling guys, don't test, and if you have symptoms, don't report. Can't do it. That stuff gets out, let a Dan Wolken, a Pat Forty, John Solomon, those kind of people get a hold of that, and man, it's Dennis Dodd, those kind of people, they will beat that horse into absolute submission and make it harder and harder on you to be able to keep going. You've got to be smart this year. This is the year, and I've said this so many times that I feel like a broken record. This is the year that it really doesn't matter who wins.
He's
and
always
the fact, and not to interrupt you, Chase, but the fact that the Big 12, that the Pac-12 and the Big 10 have pulled out makes that statement resonate even louder than it did 2 weeks ago.
Sankey's patience has always been one thing. He's always kind of negatively and positively been kind of paralyzed, been very patient. That's a good thing right now. He's not making rash decisions. He's letting things play out. He's doing everything there. But like you said, he kind of does have that like thing. He likes to kind of yuck it up with those guys a little bit. Now he's got 14 administrators and 14 campuses that are relying on this money to a level that is hard to explain. So still answering to them. And that's a key part of this that can't be ignored, even though the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have ignored it to a large extent to this point for what they've done.
And the kids want to play.
Well, yeah, no doubt. it looks like this, as far as I could tell, and I've been on the internet a pretty good time today, given what they were hoping for, it looks like this player bill of rights that Congress is trying to push has mostly fallen on deaf ears. I really haven't seen where this has gotten much play at all in the media over the course of today.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to really look at it. You'll have to fill me in on what's been said.
So I think Cory Booker is the head legislator in charge of this. I saw I think it's 10 legislators that are doing it in the Senate. Maybe it's 10 or 11. It's either 9 Democrats and an independent or 10 Democrats and an independent. I don't remember exactly sure. They said it does not have Republican backing to this point. But it is things they are trying to tie in with the name, image, likeness that is also trying to go through right now. I've got it up in front of me. It says the proposal expands on the ways in which a college player can earn money, expanding well beyond NIL. Athletes would be allowed to enter group licensing deals such as apparel, clothing lines, or the NCAA video game, and they could enter revenue sharing agreements with athletic associations, conferences, and their own schools. The NCAA and Power Five strongly oppose such freedoms and have restricted athletes, blah, 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 blah. So some more things related to NIL, but much more extreme than that. It says for here, which this will not get passed, is the legislation also calls for banning all restrictions and penalties attached to athletes' school choice from originally signing with a program to transferring among them. So not even a one-time transfer, but just complete and utter free agency. That'll never happen.
No.
That will not happen. It says a representation thing, which talk about, that's fine. Just be careful on how exactly what that looks like. Mostly talking about more establishing baseline rules with the players at the table. I don't have much of a problem with that whatsoever. And then it says the proposal may also provides athletes with lifetime scholarships to return to campus post-eligibility to complete their education, enforces evidence-based health standards to keep players safe amid the pandemic, and increases financial assistance for athletes suffering from long-term injury or virus-related health issues. Under current regulations, Power 5 programs are required to care for athletes' medical woes at least 2 years after they leave the university.
There's some demands they could get. You know, the one-time transfer, absolutely.
But one time, not complete and utter.
No. One time, no penalty. One time. And it might even be something like a coach leaves. That it may put some provisions on it. You know, anybody who's completely against that it's going to make roster management a nightmare. Okay, coaches are making $1 gazillion. I don't, that doesn't mean much to me. I don't know. Extending their health care benefits another couple of years post college. And then obviously, if you can document that somebody suffers some sort of a health situation based on the virus, then I think everybody would want to cover a lot of that. There's going to be, again, this is kind of where I get back into there's a perception that gets painted that these athletics departments are adversarial with the young people that play for them, and they're not. 99.99 something percent of all of the interactions that occur between administrators and coaches and the student athletes are positive. Mm-hmm. Most of the people who are in this, the overwhelming majority of the people who are in this care about the kids. You know what I mean? I mean, there's this perception that gets painted that they're out to screw them from the minute that they walk in the door, and they're not.
No. Come on. I was just saying this because I saw it. I was looking up something. That comment you mentioned about the Oregon State president, the tweet that referenced that was the Pac-12 has called off football this fall. The SEC has not. Ask Oregon State President F. King Alexander what the Pac-12 is seeing the SEC isn't. Quote, I think probably reality, Alexander said. So Oregon State president jumping into the
that's the kind of stuff. It's strong. That's the sort of rhetoric that you never get from someone named F. King Alexander until the reality of they thought, here's what the Big Ten thought on Sunday. They thought everyone would get in lockstep.
Well, they begged everyone to get in lockstep.
But I think they thought they would. And then they didn't. And then they thought I think what they thought is those crazy hillbillies in the SEC might hold out, but they won't go it alone. And in fairness to them, Sankey basically said we can't go alone.
They thought they had the Big 12.
They thought they had the ACC and the Big 12 would go with the ACC. Then the ACC went, you know what, man, we need to do this.
Yeah.
We need to play.
Well, and they also saw an opportunity. Hey, the SEC's over here. Why don't we jump in with them?
Yeah.
We're kind of their allies. Let's hop in.
Yeah.
A lot of the same like-minded people. We'll do that.
Yeah. Geographically, like you said, Big 12 sort of the same way. It's Texas, it's Oklahoma, it's Kansas, Iowa. I mean, we're not talking about Seattle and Portland here.
No.
The one thing that got me the most is the people that are making fun of Nebraska for saying, hey, we really wanted to play. We wanted to play. The kids wanted to play. We wanted to play. Our fans wanted us to play. We haven't had a problem in the state of Nebraska, and we wanted to play. We intended to play. We wish we could play. And the media's like, oh, you Pat Forty's going off on Nebraska, you bunch of, hucksters or whatever. I've never been to the University of Nebraska. I don't know. I'm gonna guess that they've got quite the endowment there. I'm gonna guess that Nebraska's a pretty big time university.
Oh, they were making fun of them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, making fun of all the Nebraska people. Is that because that's a conservative state? How much of that is political crap coming out? I mean, look, I don't think it's a reach to say that Dan Wolken and Pat Forty are Democrats. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying there's so much of this has gotten political this year. Does he say that about Oregon? If Oregon says, hey, we're going to play? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, it was like some of the dumb rhetoric today where it was like, hey, we're going to believe them because look at the schools that are not playing and look at the hospitals associated with them. It's like, oh, good God.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm glad I didn't because I probably
like, yeah, because it was like, well, they have Stanford and they have whatever. I'm like, yeah, because Vanderbilt and Duke are trying to kill people. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Well,
I mean, UAB, Alabama, the University of Alabama system. I mean, Birmingham's one of the top hospital cities in the country. That whole the South is a bunch of backwards rednecks thing. It's a little antiquated. Just a bit.
I don't know. It's, you wake up and you just wonder what's tomorrow from a rhetoric standpoint, because there's a new thing rhetoric wise every day.
It's going to be everything that they have to do, Chase, whatever they have to do to apply as much pressure as possible. Because you got to think about this. If the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC play and they make it to the finish line, even if it's with cuts and blood and ace wrap on all joints, even if it's with people pushing you to the finish line, even if it's not pretty, they get their money. And if nobody gets sick, bad sick, and nobody dies, thank God, you made the wrong call not playing. And what if in October you can put half full stadiums? Just what if? All of a sudden you made a catastrophically bad decision. University of Nebraska's come out today. No football's costing them about $100 million to the university. They think it's going to cost the city of Lincoln. I've never been. I know nothing about it. Around $300 million. It's a lot of money if other people can do it. You can't. The last I checked, Nebraska doesn't appear to be like a major hotspot.
Oh, look, I mean, PR, economics, all that stuff. You're on one side or the other and just hanging on for dear life. Yeah, not that people are dying or you're not rooting for the virus. That's my point, but just that if it goes the other way on you and you've canceled, I mean, good luck re-election, good luck donors, good luck anything to do with whatever capital you need and whatever your job is.
Yeah, and when people say, well, what happens with the SEC if it goes bad? I thought Bob Bowlesby's quote was perfect when he says, if we get to a place where he made a car analogy where two of the wheels are off the tracks and we're teetering out of control, you got to reevaluate. Get to a place where you have to reevaluate, and you pivot at that point. But you kind of owe it to the kids to give them a shot. You've given people the option to opt out, which was the right thing to do. And some people opted out. And they had every right to opt out. And I'll be honest, I haven't heard many people criticize the people that opted out. Have you?
No.
I mean, I'm sure there's a fan here and there, and like, oh, he's a big baby or whatever. Shut up. You have the right to opt out. You were given the right to opt out. If you choose to opt out, you can opt out. The players who didn't opt out opted in. What about the people who opted in? Who've given up their summer? Who've gotten up every morning at places like Oxford and Starkville and Baton Rouge and Columbia and Athens? They've gotten up at 6 a.m. every morning, gotten up at 5 a.m. to be at a place at 6, to lift and then to run and then to go through all the tests and all the swabs up their nostrils and all the things that they've done. And you've told them, hey, I know we're paying a price here, but there's a reason, right? And now you go, hey, we just don't think it can work. We haven't tried. If you get started and it just doesn't work out, at that point, you pull the plug. We tried, didn't work. To me, that's more noble than just going, hey, it can't happen, and that's reality. Well, if that's what you knew, then why did you put a schedule out last week? Why did you go through the dog and pony show last week? Makes me wonder if it's really about the virus or if it's about the social stuff. Because I think it's as much about the social stuff as it is the virus.
The one other thing that happened from a news standpoint today, the NCAA canceled fall championships this afternoon. That goes for everything but FBS football. College football at the Division I level does not fit that, so that is irrelevant. They have no power over that at all, but that is for volleyball, soccer, those type of things. From a championship, they're saying they can still play regular seasons, but as of now, they are deeming it unsafe to have championships.
I think you'll see those sports look to punt to the spring.
Because of that.
Well, I mean, you want to be able to, at those sports, you want to be able to compete for a championship. And if you can't, maybe you wait. And again, I don't think anyone starts a season in volleyball or soccer or anything until you see that football can play.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets you into October anyway.
Are you not surprised? That's not the right word. With the NCAA making that decision today, having no teeth to take over football as far as what they do with their season or with the postseason, and that being the one thing that at least the common fan is worried about at this point, does this lead toward the NCAA having less power, as we've talked about? Does that change your mind on a little of that? And then on the other side, too, are you a little surprised? Because that doctor, the head NCAA guy, came out pretty strong today. I mean, mentioning all the stuff he mentioned. Is there a chance that between now and September 26th, the NCAA tries to power these conferences into not playing football?
Well, they can try. They don't have that
They
power.
don't have the power. They cannot stop it.
No, they don't. There's no bigger myth than that the NCAA controls it all. If the SEC wants to play, the SEC can play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure that the NCAA would prefer that they not play at this point. But if the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC and the AAC and the Sun Belt and whoever I'm leaving out decide, hey, we want to go, we're going to go. Okay. I mean, I'm sure this is not what Mark Emmert wanted. But that's kind of on Mark Emmert at this point. Because we've been doing this since March the 11th. There was time to try to have a consensus.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do it. And, but yeah, is there going to be pressure, Chase? Yes, absolutely. There's going to be pressure on these leagues, especially the 3 Power 5 leagues. There's absolutely going to be a pressure on them to not do this. No doubt. Intense pressure. It's going to ramp up as we go. And when you hear that the University of Georgia has 31 COVID cases on campus, you're absolutely going to read columns from USA Today and whatnot saying, "No, you just can't do this. This is you're jeopardizing humanity. Everyone's going to die."
Kids go back in a week.
I mean, in a lot of places, the kids are back. My daughter's been back for a week.
Yeah.
Her whole sorority's back, which means all the other sororities are back. Well, that's a lot of kids. And they're back at one of my good friends from high school. Her daughter goes to Alabama. They're back. My neighbors goes to Mississippi State. She's back. A lot of the Ole Miss kids are back. We have some friends of ours from Mobile whose daughter goes to Ole Miss, and she's back. So kids are back. I mean, I'm sure that they're all studying, getting ready for the semester right now. I'm sure that they're really being careful with their social distancing in towns like Oxford and Starkville and Tuscaloosa. I'm sure they're being very careful. Like, for example, Oxford High School was supposed to start on Tuesday. They did not. And Caroline came in on Monday night from dance, and she said, "Dad, I was thinking about studying tonight all night." And we said, "No, we think you should go to a party." And so she did. I'm being a jackass. Oxford High School kids had a big party on Monday night. Everybody's kidding themselves about this. The people that are out there we got to lock everybody up and lock everybody down. No one's doing that. Kids are going to go out. High school kids are going to go out. College kids are going to go out. And so if you're here's the part that blows me away in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten right now. Those kids are on campus still, your football players. What are you telling them? Don't go out?
I think that's what they're telling them. Yeah. But
don't go out? They're like, why? What's the incentive now? And now they're going to go out. They're going to get more exposed to it than they would have been. And now they're going to bring it into the building. It will spread at a much faster rate in those programs now than it would have had they begun practice. Because you would have at that point been able to incentivize kids to, hey, guys, be careful. Don't go anywhere.
Question we're getting on a live stream. Say that a kid does get very sick. I mean, you can go to death or not. It's up to you. But where in your mind at this point is the liability, and is that school basically done at that point?
I mean, we'd have to talk to attorneys about liability. It would be a really bad look. I mean, it's a hell of a gamble. I mean, I saw a quote, I can't remember where, but I mean, you get a kid that it happens to you, it's your career. Depending on how they got it now. You know, did they get it in your building?
Yeah.
Did they go to Tunica? Did they slip out and go someplace and get it and then lie to you about it? You didn't know and there was no way you could have known? I mean, you can't they're not in a bubble. Like the Cleveland Indians had players sneak out and go out in Chicago the other night. 2 different players. Zach Plesac and Mike Clevenger both went out in Chicago. And the Indians are pissed about it.
Did you see the Seahawks player that was cut because he tried to sneak the female visitor in?
Yep. I thought that was.
Put her in a Seahawks shirt or jersey. Tried to make it look like a player.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that the NBA is now letting family and stuff. Yeah, family. Some of the guys are basically saying, "Hey, I can't. I got to have some help here."
You don't think they're going to do like DNA tests to make sure they're family members at this point? Is there like a list you can cross off and come back? Like how's that working?
Well, I thought it was so funny how many people were like, "This does that include Instagram thotties?"
Well, I mean, that's been the worry the entire time, is that type of thing was going to break their bubble.
And, listen, to their credit, and they have a world of issues right now, including their ratings, they've not had a bubble problem.
At all.
They've had guys leave the bubble and come back and quarantine and then, all that stuff. Tomorrow's the last day of the regular season. They're going to send a bunch of teams home today and tomorrow, and they'll be down to 16 and they'll start their playoffs, and they've made it work. The NHL has been able to pull it off without problems. bubbles work, which is one of the reasons, not tonight, but here soon, we'll start talking about some of this college basketball bubble talk.
Well, the Pac-12 today came out with it wasn't necessarily a bubble, but putting essentially pods in play over a weekend.
Yeah.
Where you send them to a place, you play a pod, and then you go from there over the course of the weekend and back.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to do it. You got to be creative. The problem with basketball, do you have to do it with women too? My guess is you do.
I would assume, right?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, basketball still feels like a big problem, but we have time. We'll deal with that later when we have time.
Yeah, well, and basketball doesn't start till the election's over, so that will help.
Because I feel like we're not even in like pure election season yet. We're not even there.
What about 80 days?
Yeah, we're not in like that 50-day just frenetic finale race that you have.
Biden picked who he thought that he would pick.
Yeah.
Their rollout was as awkward as it was because of the social distancing and stuff. I thought their rollout was good. I watched it. Good speeches. Now it'll start getting real. I assume. I guess they got to hit the campaign trail. You would think.
I still don't know about debates.
Yeah, surely they'll have debates. I want there to be a debate. There needs to be a debate. That has a chance to be pretty good theater.
So I did see this today.
St. Louis, by the way, it's being reported, will play in Chicago on Saturday. They'll play the White Sox in a doubleheader. So the plan is for the Cardinals to resume their season.
So that's the first time they've played again, right?
Yeah, it'd be the first time they've played, and it's been 2 weeks.
Okay. Seeing here, Emmer, you mentioned basketball. He says he endorsed the idea of potentially, I'm reading from ESPN.com, using bubbles for NCAA championships, including basketball, in the first half of even 2021, saying Thursday night, it's, quote, perfectly viable in many sports. Quote, starting with 64 teams is tough. 32, okay, maybe that's a manageable number. 16, certainly manageable, but you got to figure out those logistics. There's doubtlessly ways to make this work. So, discussing.
Well, let me explain the difference here. The NCAA gets all their money from that tournament.
Yes.
And they're going to figure it out.
Yes. We felt really good about that one. March Madness in some way is going to be a thing.
Yeah, even if you've got to wait and just do a conference-only schedule, even if you've got to expand the tournament, get rid of the bubble thing and just get 128 teams in, whatever you got to do, they're going to figure that out. If you tell me today that there's no NCAA basketball tournament, I tell you, man, things got bad. Things got really bad because the practicality is going to kick in really fast as we get closer to that.
Regular season basketball is going to be the problem just from a travel standpoint. You're just moving about so much.
If you told me schedules got totally turned around and, Ole Miss, instead of playing Dayton, played UAB, for example, or Samford or Memphis twice or whatever to get games, I'd buy it. And there's just, especially if you can't have fans. I mean, if you can't have fans, it's just arranging a basketball scrimmage. There's ways to get it done.
Get them in, get them out, and move on.
Yeah, I mean, a college basketball program, by the time you talk about the players and the coaches and the trades, like 30 people. So 60 people and 3 referees, some scorers, and a couple of TV camera people. You can do the broadcast remote.
Yeah.
That sport has so much money in it for the NCAA. The scenario where they don't play is hard for me to imagine. It would have to be the public health was simply not.
I could see a January start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, absolutely. Play January, February, and the first week of March, and don't have conference tournaments and
call it a day.
Yeah, get to the show.
Yeah, I think I'd buy that. I don't know. What's next? When's the schedule coming?
I think the schedule's coming next week. There's an AD call tomorrow morning that was previously scheduled.
Yeah.
Then I anticipate the schedule comes early next week.
Late. I like that one a lot. I agree. I think there's a good chance that when the NCAA basketball tournament's coming back, 40 will use the words courageous about the NCAA that they can get it.
Yeah.
Got a shot there.
Yeah. I've got my fingers crossed. I've got a couple things in the hopper, so I'm just hoping for the best. Yep. You got to remember, man. Those guys, they've been spoon fed for years. Those are their sources, and that's. So when you see a lot of their stuff, it's talking points. I mean, it's what the NCAA wants out.
Have you tried the cocktail sauce yet?
I haven't yet. Have you?
No, I've tried the steak sauce and the steak seasoning. Those are the two I've done. The sauce, I don't put steak sauce on steaks, but I put it on some sandwiches and different things, and not bad, pretty good. The seasoning is really good.
Okay.
Put it on steak. I put it on asparagus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I recommend that.
I'll give it a shot.
Got a little bit of a pepper and a sweet flavor to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think we're good there. So,
Okay. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Asking for prop betting, the headlines, and the live stream. Hey, look, we might be a gambling podcast when this thing's over. Let us know what's going on. We'll find something we might be like flipping quarters or something and gambling on the outcome before we're all out of here. So, what are you watching? You're really into it.
Watching Willie safe. Ian Happ with a RBI. Probably rule it a double. Moved to third on the throw to the plate. Yu Darvish has a no hitter through 6, but his pitch count's so high that I don't think he's going to be able to even think about finishing it.
Well, you've screwed it up now.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. His pitch count's like closing in on 100.
Okay. Grizzlies win today. I think that clinches a playoff berth, right?
I think that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, good for them.
They beat the Bucks 119-106 tonight.
I tell you what, man, that Ja Morant. I know we don't talk much NBA, and I know people don't want us to, so I won't do much of it. Ja Morant is special. He is a young Russell Westbrook with a slightly higher upside. And you know what I think about Russell Westbrook.
So you're pretty high on him. So
well, Russell Westbrook's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I don't know if they're in or not. I know nothing about standings, but the Phoenix Suns went 8-0 in the bubble.
Yeah. Speaking of great young players, Devin Booker showed out.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see if they have the playoff matchups are done yet. I know that the Rockets and Thunder play first round, so it'll be interesting. Can you imagine if that series happened?
The Grizzlies have clinched a play-in berth, it looks like.
Play-in berth, okay.
According to what I'm looking at on standings right now. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm pulling it up now. I thought I'd lost the NBA app on my phone. I haven't used it very much. I haven't gotten as much into the NBA as certain people in my house. The Lakers are waiting for the Grizzlies, that group. Denver and the Jazz play in the first round. Clippers and Dallas play in the first round. Thunder Rockets play in the first round. Bucks and Magic. Sixers Celtics, which will be a really good series. Raptors Nets. And then I don't know who the other one would be. So, yeah. NBA has to hope that the playoff ratings jump up a little bit. Their regular season ratings have not been good. And some of that is, you and I talked about this, I think some of that is the social stuff. And then I think some of it is one of the reasons that I don't think spring football works. If you talk to TV people, you and I have had this conversation, TV people believe that people have routines.
Mm-hmm.
TV people don't think that people are watching professional basketball in August because they're not used to watching it. TV people think if you play Major League Baseball playoffs in November and December, they won't watch it because that's when they typically watch football.
Mm-hmm.
NBA ratings always go up on Christmas Day and past that. Why? Because that's when people are finished with their fantasy football teams. The college season, except for the bowls, are over. And suddenly you turn your attention to basketball. The ratings jump every single year right then. And so there's a lot of people out there that are like, are people really going to watch week 4, Iowa versus Michigan in the Big Ten? Really? I mean, we might watch week 1 for the novelty of it,
Sure.
if it happens, and I don't think it will. Are you really watching week 4?
Well, you're much less likely to if it works out in the fall for everybody else.
Well, even if it doesn't, Chase.
Well, my point is you've had your feel.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You know, people watch the XFL or whatever it was for the novelty, but then their ratings fell off a cliff in about 3rd, 4th week. People don't watch that in March and April. It's springtime. People are getting out.
And they did some really creative, inventive stuff. I mean,
maybe, yeah. I don't think it works. I think people are, even me. I mean, I joke around about watching Big Ten. I wake up on a Saturday in the fall and I turn on a Big Ten game at 11 a.m. because it's on.
mm-hmm.
I'm not watching that in April, probably. The one time that they do the Masters, what are they doing the Masters in November?
Yep.
The novelty of that one time. But I want it to go back to April because that's when I'm used to it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, they're doing the FedEx Cup playoffs start next week, and then they got the U.S. Open after that, and then the Masters in November. There's no British Open this year.
Yeah, I knew that. Where's the U.S. Open?
Wingfoot in New York.
Surprised they're doing it there.
Last there when 2006, when Mickelson had the lead going to the 18th hole and made 2 stupid decisions and lost.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. It's a pretty big deal because had he won, he would now have the career Grand Slam. But he's finished second in the U.S. Open 6 times.
Oh, wow.
Never won it.
Well, now I'm cheering for him.
Good luck, but yeah, that's.
He's probably his window's closed a little bit, right?
Window looks pretty jammed shut at this point.
Yeah.
So
he's
even more of just a character at this point. But I mean, he's still competitive. Don't get me wrong. But
a really wealthy character.
Oh.
He's doing fine
and understands it. More than happy to find the way to make the buck. Like it's okay. Yeah. He's fine with it at this point. So whatever. But I will say we'll do a much better job of getting kind of schedules to you guys now that we're out of the summer. I mean, no matter what we got going on from a sports standpoint, we're back.
We start practice on Monday. We don't know a schedule yet. I don't know about coverage yet. We're not going to have any in-person coverage. I know that. Yeah. Everything's going to be Zooms. But I'm told that we're going to get players next week. I assume we'll get Kiffin probably multiple times next week. Once we figure out what our schedule looks like, as of right now, we just don't know. Once we figure out what our schedule looks like, we'll get a podcast schedule and we'll do our damnedest to stick to it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the plan there. Again, tonight, a one-off, even if we're back on Zoom at any point, we'll have a little better setup. I've seen there's ways to put it into our normal system. I didn't know them today. We'll get that. We'll figure it out best we can. But I appreciate everybody still coming in, trying to make the most of it as we could tonight. We got something here because I'll tell you, when we hit the record button at first, we thought we would just be doing a regular podcast and then getting it to you. So glad we get some interaction. Appreciate everybody that hopped on with that. It'll be up in normal podcast on Friday morning, and again we'll get schedules to you and we'll go from there. So come head on over to rebelgrove.com, and in the meantime, have a good weekend.